current situation is I am living in my car, healing from mold poisoning and chronic inflammatory response syndrome. Definitely happy to bring awareness about clean air and the health of our home and our environment, our home microbiome. How many people actually think about that? I actually am trained as a registered nurse and have practiced holistically in my life. And yet this was not something that was taught in medical school. It's just not on the top of mind. This is just over 2 years now that I've been living in my car. And it was a choice that I made because the places that I was trying to find to live weren't safe. I was having reactions from, the easiest way to explain it is like an allergy to many different microbes, toxins that are found. Well, they're found outdoors as well, but often are found in water damaged buildings or homes that, don't have proper ventilation and things like that to move the airflow through. At this point in my life, I'm 49, and this whole situation has kind of cracked me wide open to take a deep dive into who I am and how is it that these outer experiences are my current reality, and what does all of that mean? As I said, I have worked also as a Reiki practitioner and a variety of other cool things, doula, midwifery care, childbirth educator, supporting women through these beautiful rites of passage, sacred times in their life. What an honor when I reflect on the beautiful gifts I've been given in my life. I'm so grateful. If you would have talked to me months ago, I would have probably had a different response. But right now, I have been reflecting on how did this come to be and what is the gift here? What is this to teach me? And those are great questions, I think, for any of us in any moment in our life, but particularly when we find ourselves going through so-called, I'm going to use air quotes, challenges or difficult situations. Simply reframing how we think about it can change everything. I'm taking a deep dive right now in my life too about how our thoughts create our reality. And, I ponder how much of this situation was I actively involved in? How much did my thinking, let's say negative thinking, create a lower vibration within my body and my field, which then allowed me to be exposed to these toxins and not clear them well? I am currently doing the Shoemaker protocol. Richie Shoemaker is a physician who basically came up with this protocol for those of us that have CIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome. That is about 25% of the population. 1 in 4 people have an innate immune system issue or dysfunction, meaning we are the canaries in the coal mine. Our immune system, when it comes in contact with these toxins like mold or actinos or Lyme or other things, our innate immune system doesn't recognize it as a foreign intruder. So we just keep recycling it through the body, recirculating it. We don't clear it out. So this is why a family of 4, maybe dad leaves the moldy environment and is fine. He seems to be all better. And then maybe mom and the kids, or, mom is really still deathly ill, even though she's stepped away from the environment. So that 75% of us can leave the environment and the immune system because our bodies are so perfectly designed. And so this is where I do believe our bodies are perfectly designed and we are so capable of healing. And I see myself in radiant light and in perfect health. And I do believe that the power of my mind, that is, if I wasn't actively putting energy and attention into that, regardless of the outer world stuff that I was doing, I don't know that it would be as effective. I think they both work synergistically Or maybe it is just a permission slip, these medications I'm taking to get better. Who knows? But I'm all in. I'm all in. I'll do whatever I need to do. So I'm making sure I address the energetic component as well as the physical body and beyond, and the spiritual piece as well. And I look to people like Joe Dispenza. I meditate daily. I had been meditating for years, but it wasn't until his meditations that I was able to really dive into the void. If you are in this world, that is the place where all things are possible. And, his story, as well as many others, are so inspiring. He had a spinal injury and literally healed himself with his mind. And so these miraculous recoveries are what keep me going. And I refuse to let this be a life sentence, as Western medicine has labeled me to be. And the journey to figure out what was going on was a long, arduous process. And I, too, even with the background that I had, was gaslit and, minimized and all the things. So my heart goes out to anyone with any challenges going through the medical system and not being heard, not being seen, being minimized. You know your body and what's going on with you better than anyone else ever will, regardless of your training and background. So I just encourage and invite you to not give up if you're seeing one provider and it doesn't resonate, because we all have this beautiful intuition. Every single one of us is born with it. And while we may have stepped away from it by not listening to it, it's still there. It never leaves you. Just like our connection to source or the divine or God or the goddess or the universe or what have you, whatever resonates for you to call it, it's unconditional. It's been a really beautiful journey. I have a deep well of gratitude for all of this. And, you hear things like everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to and in the right timing. I definitely grew up into a very toxic, unhealthy home. So subconscious thoughts and beliefs were programmed without me consciously realizing it. And I think that happens to many of us. And when we use the word trauma, that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It doesn't mean you had to have been beaten or yelled at. The way our mind or body perceives trauma is so interesting and fascinating. And the truth is, you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. Our brain is always doing its job of trying to keep us safe. I recognize through all this too, the nervous system dysfunction that I went through, limbic system and PTSD from the trauma of past events that have happened in my life, but also the illness, because that was a slow drip progression. And then boom, I moved into a home and the system crashed in that particular home. But I had had some subtle symptoms prior to that. So we have to look at everything, though, and not just what was going on with the home environment, but, emotionally, mentally. All of this led me to create 2 beautiful gifts that I've just released to the world. One is a nervous system sanctuary program. It's kind of like a mini class where I hold your hand through daily love and support with resources and tools and strategies to come back home, bring peace where there was once overwhelm, stress, anxiety, and you walk away feeling restored, centered, grounded from the practices that I've used in my life to get me to the place where I am, as well as my natural clinical brain researching lots of beautiful techniques and modalities that I've pulled from the research that I've done. So I would love to share it with you, as well as I just recently published my first ever book. It's called Dare to Be Her, and it's all about female empowerment. It's Dare to Be Her, unleashing your confidence, power, and authenticity. And it is a non-BS kind of girlfriend's guide to stepping back into your truth. There's tools and strategies in it as well, because we can acquire information, but it isn't until we apply it and integrate it that it really makes that transformation. At the beginning of this, I was totally in victimhood. I really was, and angry, and there was so much blame and resentment, and it's not fair. This is happening to me, and, I'm a good person, and yada, 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 to completely have to rebuild my life. And I'm still in the rebuilding. I am still rising from all of this. But if we just look at that too, the fact that someone living in their car, healing from this gnarly situation, wrote a book, published it, created this program, like, I'm pretty badass and powerful. And I'm so proud of me. I reflect on my life too, the go, 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 always needing to do. And I think the gift in all this is for me to tap into the be. Human being, not human doing, because I excelled at that. But the human being part is where I witness so many of us just caught in the rat race. And it's not until we take time to breathe and connect with our breath and connect with this beautiful vessel that we've been gifted for this really blip of a time here on this planet, that we're able to really appreciate life and be in such ecstasy of this nectar that we get to taste from every day. So celebrating wins is huge and new for me. I remember feeling proud and accomplished when I finished nursing school, but yet it was still like always going for that next, where's that dangling carrot, right? Like, where can I go? Like, it was never enough, never good enough. I see now the conditioning of the narcissistic, alcoholic, abusive mother that I had. And I say that not in a blame way, but just to put perspective on what this little girl went through, who also, her father died at 17. Neither one of them kept her safe from sexual abuse. And when she told her mother said, I don't believe you. And what did you do to cause it? Like, very dysfunctional things. So I'm able now to really separate myself. We have the responsibility to take care of ourselves and heal. And I do see how healing ourselves heals others. We are so much energy before anything else. And so our vibration, our state of being is a gift to the world. It's our service to the world, and it affects everything and those around us. These are things that I was not consciously aware of when I was younger. I also went not wanting to live several times in my life. With the mold poisoning, I just didn't see the point anymore, and I wanted the suffering to end. And I've come so far in these last, I would say 6 months really, with starting treatment at this medical clinic and all the time and love and energy I'm pouring into my mental health and well-being. And I'm so grateful because I have so much that I want to share with the world still. The person that I was 6 months ago was still in fear and would have been afraid. I had so much shame and heartache around living in my car and my whole situation, and I didn't want anyone to know. And I've grown so much. That was part of the nervous system dysregulation. That was part of the trauma and the conditioning. And I don't need to be afraid. And in fact, if my story can help one person feel not alone, with where they're at, with whatever is going on. And to know that the one guarantee in life is change. I promise you, whatever it is, it will change.